Grant McCoy was hammering the last board across the barn door when his son's voice cut through the wind high. Urgent, afraid. "Papa, someone's out there!" Grant's head snapped up. Snow was already falling sideways, turning the world into a white blur. The blizzard had come faster than the almanac predicted. He squinted toward the fence line where 8-year-old Jacob was pointing. A dark shape lay crumpled in the snow. "Sarah, get inside!" Grant shouted to his daughter. 10-year-old Sarah grabbed Jacob's hand and pulled him toward the cabin. Grant ran, boots sinking deep with every step. The cold bit through his coat like teeth. The figure was a woman. She wore a riding coat fine wool, now soaked and torn. Her hat was gone. Her face was pale as the snow beneath her. Grant dropped to his knees, pressed fingers to her throat. A pulse, faint but steady. "Thank God," he muttered. He lifted her. She was lighter than a sack of grain and carried her toward the cabin. The wind howled like wolves. Snow stung his eyes. By the time he kicked the door open, his arms were shaking. "Papa, is she dead?" Sarah's voice trembled. "Not yet. Get blankets. Jacob, stoke the fire." The children moved fast. Grant laid the woman on the floor near the hearth. Her lips were blue. Her clothes were soaked through. He worked quickly, modestly removing her wet coat and boots, wrapping her in quilts. Sarah brought hot water. Jacob fed wood into the fire until it roared. Grant checked for injuries, bruises on her arms, a scrape on her temple. Nothing broken, just cold, deadly cold. "Who is she?" Sarah whispered. "Don't know, honey, but the land don't get to decide who lives and dies. We do." He sat back on his heels, studying her face. She was young, maybe 30. Her hands were soft, uncalloused. "Not a ranch woman, not from around here. Outside." The wind screamed. Snow piled against the windows. The blizzard had sealed them in. Grant sent the children to their room. He pulled a chair close to the fire and kept watch. The woman murmured in her sleep fragments of words he couldn't catch. Something about finding him, and they can't know. Trouble. Grant thought, but what kind hours passed? The fire crackled. The storm raged. Near midnight. The woman's eyes fluttered open gray as storm clouds and locked on Grant's face. She tried to sit up. He steadied her with a hand on her shoulder. "Easy now. You're safe." Her voice came out raw, barely a whisper. "Please, don't tell anyone I'm here." Then her eyes rolled back and she slipped into unconsciousness again. Grant stared at her, then at the door, then back at her face. Trouble. Definitely trouble. But he'd never turned away someone in need. He wasn't about to start now. She woke to the smell of burnt bacon and children's laughter sounds she hadn't heard in years. The cabin was small but clean. Sunlight streamed through a single window. The storm had passed, leaving the world buried in white. She was lying on a cot near the fire, wrapped in quilts that smelled of wood smoke and soap. 2 children stared at her from across the room. A girl with braids, a boy with wide, curious eyes. "You're awake," the girl said. "Papa said you might sleep for days." The man Grant. She remembered vaguely stood at the stove. He turned, spatula in hand. "Easy. Don't sit up too fast." She ignored him and sat up anyway. The room spun. She pressed a hand to her temple. "Stubborn." Grant muttered. He poured coffee into a tin cup and brought it to her. "Drink this. Slow." She took it with both hands. The warmth spread through her fingers. "Thank you." You got a name." She hesitated. Lies came easily after so many years of running. Anna Whitlow." "Grant McCoy. These are my kids, Sarah and Jacob." Anna studied them. The girl had her father's steady gaze. The boy had a shy smile. Both were dressed in patched clothes, but clean. Loved. "Where were you headed?" Grant asked. Another lie, smooth as silk. To visit relatives. Got separated from my guide in the storm. Grant didn't press. A man's business was his own out here. He figured a woman's was too... Storm snowed us in for at least 3 more days, he said. You're welcome to stay till the pass clears. Anna looked around. The cabin was modest 1 room, a loft for the children. A wedding ring sat on the mantel, next to a faded photograph. No wife in sight. I don't want to impose, she said carefully. You're not... We've got food and space. Grant handed her a plate burnt bacon, beans, hardtack. Eat. You need your strength. Over the next 3 days, Anna learned the rhythm of the ranch. Grant woke before dawn to tend the animals. Sarah helped with cooking. Jacob hauled water from the well when the path wasn't buried. They moved together like a well-oiled machine. Anna tried to help. Her first attempt at cooking resulted in beans burnt black. Grant scraped them into the pig slop without comment. Sarah, bless her, taught Anna to knead bread dough. You ain't never done this before, Sarah asked, surprised. Not much, Anna admitted. What did you do? Anna's hand stilled. I lived in a house where other people did the work. Sarah's eyes went wide. Like a mansion. Something like that. At night, after the children were asleep in the loft. Grant and Anna sat by the fire. He whittled. She mended a torn shirt slowly, clumsily, but determined. You've got kind children, she said quietly. Grant's knife paused. They're all I got, all I deserve. Maybe. Why would you say that? He was silent for a long moment. Then, my wife died 3 years ago. Bringing Jacob into the world. I didn't get the doctor fast enough. Rode 20 miles. But it wasn't enough. Anna's throat tightened. That's not your fault. Tell that to the voice in my head. She understood. She had her own voices telling her she was weak, that she'd never escape Warren's control, that she'd brought shame on the family name just by wanting freedom. Grief isn't the same as guilt. Mr. McCoy, she said softly. He looked at her, then really looked. Something passed between them. Recognition. Shared pain. Call me Grant. The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds. The world was blinding white. Grant shoveled a path to the barn. Anna insisted on helping. She'd never held a shovel before, but she learned. You're a quick study, Grant said, almost smiling. I'm motivated. Why? She leaned on the shovel, breathless. Because I never want to feel useless again. That afternoon, Jacob spotted riders on the ridge. 3 men, 2 well-dressed for ranch work, rifles visible on their saddles. Anna's face drained of all color. No, she whispered. They found me. Grant stepped in front of her, his body a wall. Who are they? Her voice shook. My brother's men. Grant McCoy had faced down wolves, droughts, and death. But the cold calculation in the lead rider's eyes was something different. The 3 men stopped at the property line, respectful of boundaries, but menacing all the same. The leader was older, gray at the temples, with a smile that never reached his eyes. Good morning, he called out. We're looking for Miss Anna Whitlow. Her family is worried sick. We've been hired to bring her home safely. Grant felt Anna's hand grip his arm. Her fingers were ice cold. She doesn't look like she wants to go, Grant said evenly. The man's smile widened. With respect, sir, Miss Whitlow is not well. She's been under considerable strain. Her brother, Mr. Warren Whitlow, has her best interests at heart. Anna stepped forward, chin lifted despite her fear. I'm of sound mind and I'm staying here of my own free will. The rider's eyes narrowed. Miss Whitlow, your brother controls your inheritance under your father's will, until you return home and prove you're capable of managing your affairs. You remain under his guardianship. I'm 28 years old. I don't need a guardian. The law says otherwise, ma'am. Grant had heard enough. Gentlemen, the lady has made her wishes clear. Time for you to move along. The lead rider studied Grant, taking in the worn coat, the calloused hands, the modest ranch. We'll be back with the sheriff and proper paperwork. Mr. McCoy, you're interfering with family business. I'd advise you to reconsider your position. They turned their horses and rode off, disappearing into the tree line. Grant closed the door. Sarah and Jacob stood frozen by the table. Anna sank into a chair, shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I've brought this to your door. Grant knelt in front of her. Who's Warren Whitlow? She looked up, tears streaming. My brother. My parents died 5 years ago and left everything to both of us, the Whitlow mining fortune. It's the largest operation in 3 territories. Warren wants it all. He's been trying to have me declared incompetent so he can control my shares. Grant absorbed this. She wasn't just rich. She was that Whitlow. Why did you run? Because he was going to lock me away. Call it a rest cure. Keep me medicated and hidden until I signed over everything. I escaped 2 weeks ago. I've been running ever since. Sarah moved closer, slipping her small hand into Anna's. You're safe here. Anna's sob was raw. No, sweetheart, I'm not. And now you're not either. Grant stood, jaw set. He looked at his children. Sarah, Jacob. Sometimes doing right means standing against the crowd. You two understand. They nodded, solemn as little judges. He turned to Anna. You're not going anywhere unless you want to. And if they come back, they'll have to go through me. You don't know what he's capable of. Maybe not. But I know what I'm capable of when someone needs protecting. That night, after the children were asleep, Anna found Grant on the porch. He sat on the steps despite the cold, rifle across his knees. You should be inside, she said. Can't sleep. She sat beside him. Their breath made clouds in the frigid air. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Grant was quiet for a long time. Finally, my wife's name was Catherine. She was good and kind, and she didn't deserve what happened. When she died, I made myself a promise. I'd protect what was mine, and I'd help anyone who needed it. Because the world's got enough cruelty without me adding to it. Anna's voice broke. You're a good man, Grant McCoy. I'm a stubborn one. Anyway, they sat in silence, shoulders almost touching. Above them, stars wheeled across the black sky. Inside the cabin, the fire crackled. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled. Anna thought about running again, disappearing into the night to spare this family. But something in her had changed. For the first time in years, she didn't want to run. She wanted to stay and fight. By the time Grant brought the children to town for supplies, the whole of Redemption Creek knew about the woman on his ranch. Whispers followed them down Main Street like a cold wind. Women clutched their children closer. Men stared. The storekeeper, old Henderson, who'd always been friendly, now counted change without meeting Grant's eyes. Heard you got company out at your place, Henderson said, his tone carefully neutral. That's right. A she family, friend. Henderson's eyebrows rose. Folks are talking. Grant might want to think about appearances. Grant set coins on the counter. I'll think about what I please. At church, it got worse. Grant didn't attend often, hadn't since Catherine died, but Sarah and Jacob went to Sunday school. Today, families literally moved their children away when Sarah sat down. One woman pulled her daughter aside with a pointed look. Sarah came out with red eyes. Jacob's jaw was clenched, just like his father's. What happened? Grant asked. Though he already knew, Emma's mama said we're living in sin, Sarah whispered. That you're trying to steal a rich lady's money. Grant's hands tightened on the reins. He knelt in the street, not caring who watched. Listen to me. What we're doing is right. Protecting someone who needs help. You don't ever apologize for that. Even if people hate us, Jacob asked, especially then. Grant's friend Noah Carson caught up with them outside town. Noah ran a horse ranch 5 miles west, had been Grant's closest friend for 15 years. People are talking, Noah said without preamble. Let them talk. Her family's powerful. Grant sent word to the territorial governor. Sheriff's coming with legal papers. Noah's face was grim. You sure you want this fight? Grant looked at his children, then back at Noah. I'm sure. Noah studied him, then nodded slowly. All right then. I'm with you. But it's going to get ugly. That evening, as Grant's wagon rolled back to the ranch, a small figure waited by the road. Miss Clara Brennan, the school teacher. She was maybe 40, unmarried, with kind eyes and a spine of steel. Mr. McCoy. She approached the wagon. I heard what happened at church. I'm ashamed of this town. Grant tipped his hat. Appreciate that. Miss Clara, I want you to know I've seen your character. If you say Miss Whitlow needs help, I believe you. She handed Sarah a small package. Books for you. Dear, don't let small minds make you feel small. Sarah clutched the books like treasure. Thank you. Ma'am. As Clara walked away, Noah spoke quietly. Sometimes the hardest trail leads home. But you gotta be sure it's your trail, not someone else's. It's mine. Grant said, and I'm walking it. At the ranch. Anna was waiting on the porch. She'd been watching the road all day. When she saw their faces, she knew. They turned on you. Grant helped the children down. Some did. Some didn't. That's how it goes. I should leave. No. Grant's voice was firm. You stay. We'll weather this. That night, after the children were in bed, Anna tried again. I'm destroying your life. Grant shook his head. No. You're showing me I still got one worth living. A sound from outside hoofbeats. Grant grabbed his rifle. Through the window, a single rider approached. Expensive suit, cold eyes. Warren Whitlow had arrived. Anna learned that healing came through labor, the kind that left your hands sore and your heart lighter. Warren had delivered his message and left legal papers were being prepared. A hearing in 4 weeks. He'd bring doctors, lawyers, witnesses. He'd prove Anna was incompetent and Grant was a manipulator. Then he'd ridden away with a smile that promised ruin. But life on the ranch didn't stop for threats. Anna insisted on earning her keep. The first time Grant handed her an axe, she nearly dropped it on her foot. Easy, he said, catching her wrist. Like this. He stood behind her, guiding her hands. Showed her the rhythm lift. Aim, strike. Their hands overlapped on the handle. She could feel the warmth of him through her coat. Try again. This time, the blade sank into the wood. Not deep, but enough. She grinned like a child. I did it. You did. Grant's smile was small but real. Now do it 200 more times. She learned to cook beans that didn't burn, to mend fences, though her fingers bled from the wire, to calm a spooked horse with a steady hand and a soft voice. Each task was a small victory against the helplessness that had defined her life. Evenings became sacred. After the children slept, Grant and Anna sat by the fire. He whittled. She sewed. They talked. Tell me about your parents. Grant said one night. Anna's hands stilled. They were good people. My father built the mining company from nothing. My mother taught me to read and to think for myself. When they died in a train accident. Warren changed. Or maybe he just stopped pretending. What did he do? Told everyone I was fragile, that I needed protecting. He hired tutors who reported to him, doctors who prescribed tonics that made me sleep. He controlled my money, my mail, my friends. I became a prisoner in my own home. Grant's knife paused. How'd you escape? A maid helped me. She left a window unlocked and a horse saddled. I rode for 3 days before the blizzard caught me. Anna looked up, eyes bright with unshed tears. You saved my life. Grant, you're saving mine too, he said quietly. I've been dead for 3 years. Just going through the motions. You remind me there's more to life than grief. They leaned closer. The fire crackled. Outside. The wind whispered through the pines. Jacob's cry shattered the moment. Papa! They rushed to the loft. Jacob was tangled in blankets, gasping from a nightmare. Grant gathered him close. But it was Anna who began to hum a soft, wordless melody. Jacob's breathing slowed. His eyes closed. Sarah watched from her bed, smiling. She's good for us, Sarah whispered later. When Anna had gone back downstairs. I know, Grant said. The next day, they worked together repairing the chicken coop. Anna handed him nails. He taught her to hammer straight. Sarah brought them water. Jacob chased chickens, laughing. It felt like family, that night. A rider appeared on the ridge watching, motionless. Warren's spy. The fight was coming. Grant McCoy had never felt so helpless as when he stood in that courthouse and watched them take her. The hearing room in Helena was grand, tall windows, polished wood, the seal of the territory hanging behind the judge's bench. It smelled of old leather and power. Warren Whitlow sat at the plaintiff's table, flanked by 2 lawyers in expensive suits. He looked like a man who'd never lost anything in his life. Anna sat with her court-appointed attorney, a young man who looked terrified. Grant, Noah, and Clara sat in the gallery with the children. The room was packed curious townspeople, reporters, Warren's paid supporters. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Court is in session. The matter of Warren Whitlow versus Anna Whitlow. Petition for conservatorship. Warren's lawyer stood. He was smooth, confident. He painted a picture of a disturbed woman prone to delusions, irrational behavior, poor judgment. He called a doctor who'd never met Anna but testified she showed signs of hysteria. Miss Whitlow abandoned her responsibilities, her family, her home. She placed herself in danger and attached herself to a stranger, a man of modest means who clearly saw an opportunity. Grant's hands clenched. Noah put a warning hand on his arm. The lawyer called townspeople from Redemption Creek. They testified about impropriety, a single man and unmarried woman living together, about Grant's sudden interest in a wealthy heiress. Then Warren took the stand. He played the concerned brother perfectly. I only want what's best for Anna. She's not herself. Our parents would want her protected. Anna's lawyer tried to object, to present evidence, but he was outmatched. Finally, Grant was called. He stood, straightened his coat, and walked to the witness box. Warren's lawyer circled like a wolf. Mr. McCoy, how much did you think you'd gain by seducing a wealthy heiress? I didn't seduce anyone. No, you took her into your home, isolated her, convinced her that her own family was her enemy. She convinced me. I just believed her. How convenient. The judge interrupted. Mr. McCoy, did you know Miss Whitlow's identity when you found her? No, sir. I knew she was hurt and needed help. That's all that mattered. And now what do you want from her? Grant looked at Anna. Her eyes were full of tears, hope, and fear. I want her to be free, to make her own choices, to live without fear. He turned to the judge. She's got more sense than most men I know. More courage, too. If wanting to protect that makes me guilty of something, then I'm guilty. The gallery murmured. Warren's face darkened. During recess. Warren cornered Grant in the hallway. You really think you can win? I think the truth matters. Warren laughed cold, sharp. The truth is I have power, and you have dirt under your fingernails. If you keep fighting, I'll destroy you. I'll bring child welfare investigators. I'll prove you're unfit living in sin, isolating your children from proper society. I'll take everything. Grant stepped closer. You threatening my kids? I'm promising. Anna appeared, guards flanking her. She heard Warren's words. Her face went pale. Grant. She started. He knew what she was going to say. He saw it in her eyes. Don't, he whispered. But she'd already decided. In the judge's chambers, Anna made her offer she'd return to Warren's custody voluntarily if he dropped all accusations against Grant and left his family alone. Warren agreed immediately. Grant tried to stop her. You don't have to do this. She touched his face. Yes, I do. You saved my life. Now I'm saving yours. This isn't saving. Remember what you taught me, she whispered. Sometimes the hardest trail leads home. I'll find mine. I promise. Grant stood frozen as they led her away. Warren's carriage waited outside, flanked by guards. Anna climbed in without looking back. Sarah and Jacob were crying. Clara put a hand on Grant's shoulder. Noah stood silent, helpless. The townspeople watched, some satisfied, some ashamed. Grant stood in the street long after the carriage disappeared. He'd lost again. And this time, he hadn't even fought. Grant McCoy had survived blizzards, drought, and death. But losing Anna felt like the land itself had turned against him. He moved through the days like a ghost. Chores got done, animals fed. Fences mended, but his hands worked without his heart. Sarah set the table for 4 out of habit, then dissolved into tears. Jacob stopped talking, just followed his father like a silent shadow. A week after the hearing, Noah found Grant at Catherine's grave. Grant sat on the cold ground, staring at the wooden cross. He'd carved it himself 3 years ago, sanded it smooth, burned her name deep. Noah dismounted, carrying a bottle of whiskey. He sat beside Grant and held it out. Grant shook his head. You just gonna sit here? Noah asked. Silence. You think you're honoring her memory by giving up? Noah's voice was rough. You think that woman sacrificed her freedom so you could crawl into a hole? What else do you want me to do? Fight. I tried. I lost. Noah stood, dusting off his pants. The land teaches you fall down 7 times, get up 8. You taught me that. Grant, don't forget it now. He left the whiskey and rode off that night. Clara arrived with the children. She carried a letter crumpled, stained, delivered secretly by a ranch hand Anna had bribed. Grant's hands shook as he unfolded it. Grant, I'm locked in the estate, but I'm not beaten. I've hired lawyers quietly through friends Warren doesn't know about. I've filed counterclaims, but I need time and I need proof I was sound-minded, that I made my own choices. I need you to testify again, at the new hearing in 10 days. I know I have no right to ask. You've already risked so much, but I'm asking anyway. Fight for me like you fought to save me from the storm. Please come. Anna Grant read it 3 times. Hope and terror warred in his chest. Papa. Sarah's voice was small. You always said we protect our own. Isn't she ours now? Jacob nodded. You saved her once. Do it again. Clara smiled. The town was wrong about you both. Some of us will stand with you. Noah appeared in the doorway, grinning. Figured you'd need a hand. I ain't letting you ride into Helena alone. Grant looked at his children. I might lose everything if this goes bad. Sarah hugged him. You already lost her. Papa. Try to win her back. Something rekindled in his chest, not just love, but purpose. Redemption wasn't given. It was earned. He stood. All right, we ride at dawn. Grant McCoy had faced down blizzards and wolves, but nothing prepared him for the cold eyes of a courtroom. The conservatorship appeal hearing began at 9 in the morning. The same grand room, the same judge, but this time the gallery was even more packed. Word had spread. People loved a story. Anna sat at the defendant's table. Her new lawyer was older, sharper, a woman named Margaret Chen, who'd made her career breaking corrupt conservatorships. Warren looked less confident today. His lawyers whispered urgently. Margaret Chen stood. Your Honor, we will prove that Miss Anna Whitlow is of sound mind, that her brother Warren Whitlow has engaged in financial misconduct, and that his petition for conservatorship is a transparent attempt to steal her inheritance. She called witnesses, business associates who testified that Anna had been competent, engaged, and insightful in company decisions before Warren isolated her. A doctor who examined Anna recently and found her completely sound. Financial experts who'd uncovered Warren's embezzlement, siphoning funds from the mining company into his personal accounts. Then she called Grant. He walked to the stand, heart pounding. He placed his hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. Warren's lawyer tried the same tactics. Mr. McCoy, isn't it true you hope to gain financially? Objection. Margaret Chen cut in. Already asked and answered. Sustained. Grant spoke clearly, calmly. I found Anna in a blizzard. I didn't know who she was. I knew she needed help. That's what decent people do. The lawyer sneered. How convenient that I'm not finished. Grant interrupted. The judge raised an eyebrow but nodded. Grant looked at Anna, then at the judge. I've known grief. I've known guilt. I spent 3 years punishing myself for not saving my wife. When Anna came into my life, I saw someone who'd been punished too, not for anything she did wrong, but for wanting freedom. His voice strengthened. She worked harder than most men I know. She learned to split wood, to mend fences, to care for my children like they were her own. She's got a clearer head than anyone in this room. And if that's not evidence of sound mind, I don't know what is. The gallery was silent. Then Sarah and Jacob testified simple, honest, heartbreaking. Miss Anna taught me to read better. She made Papa smile again. She was kind. The judge studied the children, then the documents Margaret Chen had submitted. Mr. Whitlow, the judge said, I've reviewed the financial records. The evidence of embezzlement is substantial. Your petition for conservatorship is denied. Furthermore, you will face investigation by the territorial auditor. Warren's face went purple. This is outrageous. You're dismissed, Mr. Whitlow. The courtroom erupted. Anna covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Margaret Chen squeezed her shoulder. Grant stepped down from the witness box. Anna ran to him, throwing her arms around his neck. He held her tight, breathing in the scent of her hair. You came, she whispered. Always will. Outside on the courthouse steps, Warren waited. The crowd gathered, sensing drama. You think you've won? Warren's voice was venomous. I'll destroy you. I'll ruin your name, your ranch. Grant stepped forward, calm and steady. You want to try me? Do it. But you'll answer for it, and every person here will know what kind of man you really are. Warren sneered. You're nobody. Grant smiled, small, sad, certain. Maybe, but I'm the nobody who stood when the somebodies ran. The crowd murmured approval. Warren, seeing public opinion turn, backed down. His lawyers pulled him toward a carriage. He left, defeated and humiliated. Anna took Grant's hand. Sarah and Jacob rushed over. Clara and Noah cheered. The sun broke through the clouds. Spring was coming. Spring came late to Montana that year, but when it arrived, it brought more than flowers. 6 weeks after the hearing, the ranch looked different. A new room had been added to the cabin built with Grant's hands and Noah's help. Fresh paint brightened the shutters. The fence line was strong. Wildflowers bloomed in the meadow where snow had buried everything. Anna had returned, not as a guest but as a partner. She'd used her resources, wisely funded a new schoolhouse with Clara as head teacher, provided low-interest loans to struggling ranchers, established a community fund for families in need. The town's attitude had shifted. Respect replaced suspicion. Families who'd turned away now nodded in greeting. Today was the wedding. It was a small ceremony held at the ranch, witnessed by Noah, Clara, the children, and a handful of friends who'd stood by them. The preacher from Redemption Creek had agreed to officiate, humbled by Anna's generosity to the town. Before the ceremony, Grant led Anna to Catherine's grave. He placed wildflowers on the wooden cross. "I loved her," he said quietly. "I'll always carry her, but I'm ready to live again." Anna stood beside him, respectful and still. "She'd be proud of you, of the man you are. The father you've become. She'd like you," Grant said. "You're stubborn like she was." And they exchanged vows under the open sky. Sarah held the ring's simple gold bands. Jacob stood solemn as a judge. When the preacher said, "You may kiss your bride," Grant cupped Anna's face and kissed her gently. The small crowd cheered. After the ceremony, neighbors gathered for a barn raising a new structure to symbolize new beginnings. Men worked the beams. Women prepared food. Children played. Fiddles tuned up. The community that had judged now celebrated. Warren was gone, fled the territory to avoid prosecution. Anna's mining company was now ethically managed, with profits shared among workers. She split her time between business and ranch life, finding balance. As evening fell, the guests departed. The family gathered on the porch. Grant, Anna, Sarah, Jacob. Jacob had planted a sapling near the house that morning. "So it grows with us," he'd explained. Now he watered it carefully. Sarah read aloud from a new book, her voice clear and confident. Grant and Anna sat side by side, hands intertwined, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold. "I never knew home could feel like this," Anna said softly. Grant squeezed her hand. "That's because we built it together, the hard way." Sarah looked up from her book. "The best way, Papa." The wind carried the scent of wildflowers and fresh-cut timber. Somewhere, a meadowlark sang. The mountains stood eternal, witnessing this small family's triumph. Grant thought of the blizzard that had brought Anna to his door, how close they'd come to missing each other entirely, how much courage it had taken to fight for this moment. The land teaches you, he thought. Nothing good comes easy. But what you build with your hands and heart, no storm can take away. And sometimes the stranger in the blizzard becomes the home you didn't know you were building toward. As darkness fell, lamplight glowed warm in the cabin windows. The family moved inside together. The door closed softly. The land settled into night, peaceful, patient, complete. Spring had finally come, and with it, hope. The end.